All right, everybody. You know what time it is. The Real Talk Sports Show is coming up right now. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for those of you who decided to tune in and join us here on the broadcast this evening as we broadcast to you live from just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, or on the replay. For those of you who are watching on the replay, we want to give a big shout out to all those of you who are watching the replay on YouTube, on Facebook, on the archive, on Twitch, however you guys are watching it, either live or replay. We appreciate you very much for tuning in to join us here on the broadcast today. Like I mentioned, a beautiful sunny day here, located just outside of Atlanta, about 84 degrees. It was blue skies and sunny. Matter of fact, I had to come outside and put my shades on like this, baby, and say, wow, it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Like I said, a beautiful day to be here with you guys as well. Well, we always like to talk about what is happening in the world of sports. Let's take a peek at some of the things that we're going to be talking about today as I put on my regular glasses so I can see what I'm looking at here and see you as well. So, our topics for today will be we're going to talk a little bit about what is happening with the Braves, man. They're 9.5 games back, 3 games below 500. Should fans be worried now or not? The Hawks, after watching Boston, talking now the Atlanta Hawks, after watching Boston, Miami, be the top two teams in the East. Question is, are they still going to be looking for a big man, or are they satisfied with the lineup what they have right now, going with something a little bit smaller and quicker and younger? So that's what we're going to ask about in the broadcast as well, and also we're going to be talking a little bit about the NFL. Actually, the NBA playoffs, excuse me, my bad. Talking about Miami, where they robbed on that three-point shot. The refs waved it off. It looks like, I think the guy's name is Roos. I can't pronounce his name correctly now, but it looks like he had a legitimate shot, and that would have obviously changed the game. And so we're going to talk about that. Were they robbed? And the other thing, too, is Jason Tatum was the MVP. Is he one of the NBA's most underrated players? And in the NBA Finals, who do you guys pick to win, the Celtics or Warriors, and in how many games? That's what we're going to talk about in the first half of our broadcast tonight here on the Real Talk Sports Show. Well, we always have some help when we do this show, and one of the guys that helps us is a champion. He is a two-time Super Bowl champion, a veteran of over a decade in the NFL, and he was recently inducted not too long ago into the Fort Valley State Sports Hall of Fame, and also has a key position now in the sports department of Fort Valley State. I'm going to let him introduce himself to you right now. Mr. Tyrone Poole is in the building. What's going on, kind sir? Oh, I got to unmute you. For some reason, we got you muted out, brother. Hold on a second. Let's hit that.
I just took myself off mute. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's well.
Yeah, man, everybody's doing good. Another beautiful weekend in Atlanta. Lots going on here on Memorial Day weekend. There was concerts everywhere. People had family reunions, part one, part two, all that stuff. Tyrone, what did you do? Did you keep it at home, or did you venture out into the Atlanta metro area?
Man, every day is a holiday for me. So I just don't just celebrate one day just because everybody else do it. I celebrate every day. So just another day. Just another day to just celebrate, I guess. It was a regular day for me, I guess, the best way to put it. Just a regular day. It wasn't, other than the veterans and everything like that. You anybody that has protected this country and protect our rights, then of course, you tip your hat to them. But I tip my hat to those people every day, every day. I'm thankful for anybody that has put their back to the wall and put their front to protect the rights that we have. Even though some of us are acting fools, still you have the opportunity to act a fool because somebody else put their life on the line to give you the right to wake up in the morning and complain about your coffee being too cold or too hot. So, no, you always want to celebrate good people. So, other than that, like I said, it was just a regular day, but I celebrate, you know, veterans and people that have done great things every day.
So, in other words, you say that you celebrate the fact that people paid the ultimate sacrifice so we can be, in the words of Shaq, shacked in a fool if we want to without nobody, knocking us in the head. And it's a good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Well, guys, you also know is when we talk here sports, we also bring on one of the most beautiful women in sports talk radio or TV. We know as the Queen, Miss Tree Dolman, is in the building.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Oh, wait
As
a
you
minute.
on,
Wait a minute.
wow.
Bam! The blink hit me, boys. Let's get a close up there of the Queen. Hold up, hold up. Let's get the full screen.
Oh,
I know.
I know
Bam!
you always love whenever I wear my sash and crown on the show. And
Ooh.
since I had it on today, I said, why not put it on for the show? I figured I would surprise you, Jonathan, because you always ask me to wear it. So
You already know the Queen is in
Oh,
her full
Queen. Everybody,
situation.
you
Yes,
gotta bow.
sir.
You gotta bow. You gotta bow to the Queen. Bow to the
Dun, 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 dun. The Queen is in the building wearing her official gear. Well, Queen, tell us a little bit really quickly about what you were doing. You're always doing great stuff. Um, Give us a fill in about where you at with the crown.
okay, well, thank you. First of all, hello, Jonathan. Hello, Tyrone. I have just been doing a lot. May is Brain Cancer Awareness Month, and today is the final day of Brain Cancer Awareness Month. And so I've been phone calling and emailing, and today is the day that I did the virtual 5K walking in memory of my beloved hubby, Chris Dolman, on Team Chris Dolman Forever with Go Great for a Cure. And so I've just been out spreading awareness, just letting everybody know about different signs and warnings, talking to people that I saw along my walk, and just really making a difference. I think that it's very important, not just for May to go gray, but go gray every day and bring that awareness. And so I want to thank every single person that sent a post or retweeted a post or donated or walked or did anything to help Go Gray for a Cure this month. We've been able to raise a nice amount of money, and it's going for life-saving brain cancer research. And so I am truly, truly thankful and grateful to every single person. This is really an extra tough month for me, but the fact that I'm helping other people and helping to come up with a cure. I wish I was a scientist and could come up with a cure myself, but raising funds for a cure, it just helps me to know that in the future people will not have to lose loved ones to glioblastoma. And so working for a cause is very important to me. So thank you.
Well, we certainly appreciate you, and we were glad that we were able to get involved in our own small way with a few funds and doing our virtual walking, all that kind of good stuff. So again, we're very, very appreciative to you and all the stuff you've done. As Tyrone mentioned earlier, for those people who are surviving loved ones who paid the ultimate sacrifice. I think sometimes when we think about Memorial Day, it's kind of like most of our holidays in the U.S. It's kind of really monetized, so to speak, and we forget the real meaning of the holiday. And the real meaning is Memorial Day is, in fact, doing that, memorializing those men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice, giving their actual lives so that we can remain free in this nation. So, again, we salute all of them, and we salute the survivors because the family members are the ones that have to bear the burden of loved ones lost. But the beautiful thing is lost for a cause that benefits all the rest of their brothers and sisters in their country. So, again, shout out to all those of
That's
you,
right.
and we appreciate each and every one of you. And hopefully, you guys, while you're enjoying lots of good barbecue, you also took a moment and time to, acknowledge that as well. So
Yes, because freedom is not free.
it ain't. Yep, it is not free at all. And like I say again, I think we forget that because we're so used to having freedom here. But I mean, there's no war on our soil. We don't have invaders marching around in here. We don't even have really at this point a real threat of war. So Yeah, it's a great blessing. I think sometimes we get caught up in all shenanigans that are going on. And don't be wrong, it's certainly the loss of life is terrible. We saw it in Texas, we saw it in Buffalo, but even with all those things going on, we want to be sure to remember that God has blessed us to live in a country where we are not constantly under attack. So we just again are very very thankful to our military and all those people who have served in it. So thanks to them.
Me too.
Big ups,
Thank you.
and big ups. For those of you just tuning in here, you're watching the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons. Right next to me, the world champion two times, Miss Tyrone Poole, and the Hall of Famer at Fort Valley State Sports, and the Queen herself, Miss Tree Dolman, all in the building to talk to you guys a little bit. And we get we might have to do that several times tonight. Tree, just you see it, we might just break all of a sudden and go into the to somebody Bible. We do appreciate you and appreciate you bringing the crown on so that people can see it. Because I think sometimes people they don't believe me. So
How? Yeah.
it's right there. Let's pop up again. Let me get my glasses here. Let's pop up again. Our topics for tonight. Braves are now 9.5 back. 3 games below 500. Should the fans be worried now? What do you guys think? Braves are looking bad. I just checked Tyrone. Seems like the guy that has the highest batting average on the team right now. They don't even have anybody batting 300. It's Dansby Swanson with 269. Do you think Braves fans should panic or just take a woosah moment and let this thing kind of play out a little bit longer?
Uh, I'm the season is still young, still young. But regardless, you don't want to play bad baseball, bad whatever. You always want to win. You always want to win because I do believe that winning is contagious. And you look at the Braves; they're sitting 23-26. Uh, Actually, what they lost to the leading division leading Mets. Two out of the three. They lost 5-4, 3-0, and the Braves actually beat the Mets 9-2. But when you look at, like you said, the hitting, Dansby Swanson, he's leading with 269 average. Austin Riley, 12 home runs. The Braves gonna hit home runs. They're gonna do that. But when you look at the things that really matter, the batting average overall as a team is 0.232. And I'm gonna compare that real quick because I know Tree want to jump on this too. But when you look at the overall team batting average, and then you look at the runs scored, 200 runs, and I want you guys to remember those numbers because I'm gonna go over to the New York Mets, who actually are leading the division, right? The Mets are sitting at 33-17, but check their stats out. Now their leading batter is Jeff McNeil. He's batting 308. 308. Okay. They have Pete also, he's 13 home runs. But check out their team batting average. Team batting average, they are second in Major League Baseball with a 264. Okay, they've driven in 56 more runs than the Braves. So again, what the Braves got to do, they got to get people on base. Home runs not going to do it all the time. It's all about putting the ball into play, beating it out to first base. Next person come in, advance that person to second base, so on and so on. So when you look at the Mets right now, there's a reason why they are sitting 33-17. So the Braves got to pick up the pace, man. They got to pick up the pace.
No doubt. They just, like I said, they're just really not hitting. Tree, what do you think might be a remedy for this team? I mean, you guys have both played sports. What do you do when you get into a slump like you see some of the Braves batters doing right now?
Yeah, you really have to change your mindset. I understand. And even I say it that it's still so much more baseball to be played, but you have to take advantage for every game that you have, every opportunity that you take the field, because you never know if you're going to have that team throughout the season. Sometimes players get injured and different things happen. So you always have to take advantage of every moment that you have. And they really just need to change their mentality. They need to realize that, yes, there's a lot of baseball still left to be played, but it matters how you're playing throughout the season. So you don't just want to play any type of way, and then once you get close to playoffs and you really, you know, pick it up. And I mean, you do want to pick it up at that time, but you want to pick it up from already being great. And so I just think that probably a change of mentality with the entire team, and feeling that yes, every game is a must win in the sense, so that you go out and you play harder.
Yeah, it's really what you look at with this team. It seems like that they are playing kind of tight. I mean, especially in the case of Olsen. Here's a guy that, initially had some high hopes. He came out blazing. I think he was batting 350 or so first couple of weeks of the season, had some monstrous home runs. He seemed to be very excited being back home. But it seems like now there's the pressure. People, as they did at the beginning of the season, constantly comparing him to Freddie Freeman, who's having another Freddie Freeman year, batting over 300. He's one of the top three Dodgers in terms of RBIs on that team, looking like he's heading for another all-star season. And Olsen, uncharacteristically, has actually made a few errors. And this is a guy that just won a Gold Glove a year or two ago. So there is some thought around the regular reports of the Braves that Olsen might be feeling a little bit of pressure. Another thing, too, is, I mean, he's coming from, I think Tyrone mentioned this last week, he's coming from Oakland across the USA, a small market, a smaller market team, no pressure at all in terms of the fan base, not coming off a World Series, and now all of a sudden now playing for his hometown team where Tyrone, I'm sure you experienced it. Anytime you're close to home when you're playing professional ball, there's other things that go on behind the scenes besides what you have to do on the field.
Let me say this right here. It's not one person that's going to win games. Okay, it takes a whole team. Now you look at the Dodgers. Okay, I'm gonna talk about RBIs, run batted in. The Dodgers have had the same amount of at bats that the Braves have had. The Dodgers have had 1,624 at bats. The Braves, they've had 1,623 at bats. Okay. The difference in the RBIs, the Braves have batted in 186 of those at bats, whereas the Dodgers have they batted in 250. So it ain't just one person. Okay. Everybody, it takes a team to win. Okay. So I'm not just going to put it on Olsen. I understand everybody wants to go to the big dog, but at the end of the day, it's still a team game.
Oh, no doubt. And it's not just him. I mean, Olsen, not besides Olsen, you also have Riley, who was a MVP candidate late in the season. He's not playing well. And some people, again, are trying to say it's off the field issues. He's recently married. He's a recent father. So, and again, just a lot of moving parts. But whatever it is, you're a professional, get played to play, and they're going to have to find a way to get this thing righted. The other thing, too, is Ronald Acuna kind of battling some quad injuries. They just brought him back. Still not sure on how much they're going to play him going through the season. They got him, I guess, what you would call on a little bit of a pitch count because they want to make sure that he doesn't have any kind of major injuries that will keep him out for a long game at a time. But the bottom line is this Braves lineup on paper is good enough to be one of the best lineups in the league. But right now, they're just the problem. They're not making contact. I mean, the strikeout rate that they have right now is horrific. And until they get that down, I think this team is going to be in a world of trouble. They got to cut those strikeouts down. I mean, you got to make contact. I mean, because nothing happens until you put the ball in play, and it's too many swings and misses. And when they do get hits, they're not timely hits. That's the other thing, Tyrone. You know about this, and Tree, you too. What do you do in the clutch when you have runners in scoring position? I believe the Braves are in the bottom section of Major League Baseball of hitting with runners in scoring positions. RISP. So until they get those things turned around, it's going to be a problem.
And when you say strikeouts, Jonathan, like you said, the Braves are actually leading the league in strikeouts as a team. They leading with 479 strikeouts. The next team is the Arizona Diamondbacks. They've struck out 464 times. So, but here's, like I said, things can be changed around. They know they have the ability, but sometimes I think people do ride too high on last year expectations. So I think winners, they forget about it. They enjoy the moment, and then you move on. Smell the roses real quickly and keep going. Don't sit there and smell the roses and become like so fascinated that you forget the journey that you're still on.
Well, you say too much that fine fragrance, Tyrone. they kind of messed up a little bit. But I mean, they're going to have to find a way to turn it around. And I think Tree hit it best. You got to get back to the basics. You got to find a way to kind of get things stabilized, because if you don't, things can go off in a hurry, because you're almost now double digits game back. You're at 9.5 games back. You're getting close to 10. You want to, at least as we move closer to the 4th of July, cut that lead hopefully in half and get down to a 5 or 6 games. So we're going to have our eye on the Bravos. Well, speaking of having our eye on things, we want you to have an eye on our sponsors. And we'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show in just a moment. Don't go nowhere, please. Thank you.
Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions, or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
All right, guys, we're back here with the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Mr. Jonathan Simmons here. Sitting right next to me is Mr. Tyrone Poole. And on the far right, adorned with her crown, the queen herself, Miss Tree Dolman, and her trusty co-host, Sparkle, is also in the building. We heard where Sparkle tried to jump in before. We talked about the Braves too much. I think she got mad. She tried to jump in and I got excited there. Little Jonesboro action. We'll see them in 2 weeks. So definitely we know, guys, the Braves have to do better and be better. All right, let's shift to a little bit of NBA basketball. Okay, you guys watch this. It was all about the Heat and the Celtics, but neither one of those teams really had I guess what you would call a true dominant big man. So are they making me look bad, saying, "Hey, bro, you were talking about the big man, blah blah blah," and here we got the top teams in the East don't have one? Or do you think the Hawks still need to look towards getting a more dominant big man? Miss Tree Dolman, what do you think?
I think that we have a good big man with Clint Capella. I think that if they add another big man, you can never have too many. So I'm all for having a center and bringing in another big dominant person. I know that at one point you were saying that they were looking at Rudy Gobert. I mean, if the Utah Jazz actually would let him go, that would be phenomenal. I don't think that would be wise on their part if they do, but yeah, I mean, I'm all for getting another big man. As you know, I played the 4 and the 5, so I have a lot of respect for centers and power forwards, just because it's so physical down there, and they really do make a big difference with getting the rebounds and stepping in and stopping runs in the paint when people are driving to the lane. So I think that it definitely would be beneficial to the Atlanta Hawks if they do get another big man. And so I'm all for it.
Tyrone Poole, what do you think about the Hawks getting a big man or staying pat with what they got?
It's all depending on the philosophy of the offense that you're trying to run. Okay. If you're trying to have a fast pace, then I think, having 2 big men on the court could slow you down. So if you're trying to play a half court game, or you're just trying to be able to mix it up, which I think in this day and age, you have to be able to mix it up. Okay. If I have to go back into the day to pull out some type of formula for a fast pace, it would have to be the Lakers of the 80s. They had Kareem, he was the big guy. But everybody else, they just outran him off the court. But in this day and age, it's all about shooters. So it's more of a half court game now. So it's all depending on what type of offense you want to run. But at the end of the day, when you look at the Boston Celtics or you look at the Warriors, both of them play defense, I believe. So just like Tree has alluded to, you got to be able to get offensive rebounds. You got to be able to get defensive rebounds. You got to be able to block out. And really, I don't think you have to be that big. You got to have, these guys, can jump, and they're strong enough to block out. It's just get in position. Get in position on your defender or your offensive guy or whoever, and just be in a position to get the rebound. But at the end of the day, it's the type of offense that you want to run. Half court, or you want to run a running gun, showtime type. And then at the end of the day, playing defense on the back end. You got to get back and play defense. So at the end of the day, the Hawks just got to go with what they have, whatever type of system. You know, you can't win by trying to mimic somebody else. You got to know who you are, what you're trying to run. Then you go out there, you perfect it.
Ding, ding, ding. Well said, Tyrone.
Thank you, Tree.
Yeah, they're going to have to do something here. And again, of course, Hawks Twitter was buzzing again with the announcement that Darvin Ham, a former assistant of Coach Bud when he was in Atlanta, is moved on to be the head coach now of the Lakers. And they're talking about the fact that he's got quite the coaching tree here. Kenny Atkinson was the head coach of the Nets for a little bit, and they said that he's done a wonderful job in terms of the team that he's with now, getting things working together. And a lot of people are wondering, is it time for Coach Nate to go and maybe bring back a guy that has some familiarity here with the Hawks and kind of get them into a different perspective? Because there's some, I mean, don't be wrong. I mean, I think that here in Atlanta, here in Georgia, sometimes we kind of get out of whack. You know, a team wins a championship or a team gets close to winning a championship. They don't meet expectations the next year, and suddenly they want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. And this was the same Coach Nate that we were praising as he took the Hawks from being at 20 games under 500 to 2 games within the NBA championship just last year. So do I think there should be some adjustments made? I do. Whether he should be fired or not, I mean, that's
no. I mean, people, let me tell you what bothers me a lot of times. What bothers me with a lot of people is that they want to get rid of great coaches. You don't get rid of great coaches. Look at the coach at Duke. Everybody was talking about his record. When you think of him now, you just think of what a phenomenal job he has done. But if you look at when he first went to Duke, he had to get there. It didn't just start happening overnight. And look at the big difference of what Nate has made with the team, with the Atlanta Hawks, from when he has taken over as head coach. So if they get rid of him, I think that would be horrible. Give the man time. He can only control so much, and he's doing a phenomenal job with his coaching.
And then let me add this in too. You know, if you're gonna win, especially in the NBA, we all know you got to have a bench. So you got to somebody got to come in and keep the momentum going when your starters are sitting down. But when you look at the Celtics, okay, they got more than just one guy. When you think about the Hawks, who all do you think about? Okay, they're scoring points. So you look at the Celtics, you know, you're going to hear the name Jaylen Brown. You know, you're going to Al Horford. They let Al go. Al used to play here in Atlanta. But
yeah.
You know what? I think we good at letting people go than trying to keep people. Then you got Marcus Smart. You know, Marcus is putting in 15 points, so to speak, a game. And then, of course, you got Jason Tatum, who is the Batman. Okay, so here in Atlanta, supposed to be, you know, who's our Batman? Right? Trey Young's supposed to be the Batman. And then you got to surround him with other players. It's just like out there in Dallas. I think if Dallas finds some other players to complement Luka, I think, man, Dallas goes to the top just like that because they already got their Batman. So, again, the Celtics got more than just one guy. They have more of a complete team. Plus, they play pretty good doggone defense. So, it's all about bringing in players that fit your system that can help you score points.
Yes. And to add to what Tyrone said, they also have Defensive Player of the Year. Hello. Defense wins championships. So he's playing great defense, and defense makes a big difference. A lot of people don't realize that. I think too many people are focused on offense, but defense is really what makes a difference in games, which is why I say it all the time. Offense may win games, defense wins championships, because defense will help pick up the pace. And when you get great steals and you get the ball turned over, then it leads down to points on offense. So defense is definitely the key. And when you see teams that are defensive minded, when you look in the playoffs, 2 teams in the finals, defensive minded teams. So the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, and that's always been the problem with our Atlanta Hawks. The inability to play good defense consistently. If we look back on the games that the Hawks won in both last year and this year, they were able to ratchet up the defensive intensity. They had, even though they weren't a big team, they had a lot of. I think they were very handsy. Coach Bud kind of brought that in when he turned the Hawks around and got them to be a good team. Even though they weren't, again, the fastest team, they weren't the tallest team. They constantly did two things. Number one, they kept themselves in good position, but number two, they always had active hands, always trying to disrupt the flow of the dribbler or the flow of the passer. And that's the thing that the Hawks, unfortunately, don't seem to be able to do consistently. Like I said, this goes back, from beyond Coach Nate. So I don't know whether he needs to get a defensive guru in here, but these guys have to understand that they're not a good enough team to turn it on and off. I think there was the other problem with the Hawks this year. They kind of thought, I mean, even our leader said it. He said, the regular season, not so much fun, not so much excitement. Well, you can't do that. You have to win every single game. You have to go out and play as hard as you can. And the key in the NBA is playing defense, because most of the times, most teams don't play it until you get in the postseason. So they're going
Yeah,
to
and
have
I'm
to turn
glad
that
you
around.
said that, Jonathan, because I heard, I think it was Gallinari in one of his interviews where he was saying that he wished that they would have played harder in the regular season so that they did not put themselves in that position. And my whole thing, which is what I've been saying from Jump Street, I don't understand why some teams or some athletes, they coast through, and it's like, oh, okay, well, we're okay, or we're doing just fine as long as we can make that push towards the end. I think it's best to just play every game to win. That's the way you do it. And I understand that they have a very long schedule, and I understand that it's tough on their bodies and everything. I do get that. But I think that they need to have that mindset of winning every game. Of course, you can't win every game, but if you have that mindset, you'll win more games than you'll lose if you're working hard as well. You have to put in the work and the work ethic. But I think that that's the big difference with the Hawks. And I'm hoping that seeing what happened this postseason will change that around for them going forward in the future. And then maybe we'll see where they will get to the playoffs and start playing tougher and actually secure a spot in the playoffs instead of being in the position they were in this year.
Let's go to social media. Our buddy Todd is in the building. He says here, do we really think the Hawks will ever be a championship team the way they're constructed now? No. Tree, fire this man. We need a meaner coach. Then he says, Nate is like a great Walmart greeter, not so much of a coach of men. That's a lot of shots there, Todd. I'm going to have to put my shades on. That was, gone. But he talking about Walmart greeter. Oh, gone it, buddy. Take it easy. Yeah, so I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a tough thing because something had to be wrong with this team. Something had to be wrong when you're trading away a guy that you basically said the reason why we have this guy is because he's the second half of a trade that makes us, quote unquote, the winner without a shadow of a doubt with the Luka Doncic Trae Young trade. Because, by having another guy in Cam Reddish that seemed to be a guy that could really been an outstanding player, now that he's gone, it's really going to depend on what the Hawks get on this first round pick that they got from the Knicks to see whether this whole trade is as good as it could be. So, yeah, and Nate's going to have to find a way to play the younger guys. I go back to what I've been saying all season. You have guys on the bench. I know, Tree, you keep telling me they may not play that good in practice, but I'm just I'm just not feeling that, because I remember the Hawks had a coach before. Coach he coached the Knicks for a while. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, he admitted he didn't like playing younger players. I mean, so
yeah,
I
but did
don't.
he say why?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a thing where I guess he felt that the younger players weren't ready to handle it. I'm not sure, but at the end of the day, I mean, think about this. There are some players that right off the bat, as we saw with Trae, obviously he's a different level. We saw with Luka, as rookies, they're able to make impact in this league. And I'm thinking, why do you
Very
have?
true.
I'm saying, why do you have a G League? Why do you have developmental league? These guys are balling out, and you don't give them more time, especially in games. See, I understand you're saying maybe you don't want to do it in the playoffs, but you had the whole season to put in guys like Sharif Cooper, okay, like the young man, Mr. Johnson. You had these guys that were showing that they could be really great players if you gave them more time. So, I mean, that's the one thing I do blame Coach Nate for. I'm not going to shy away from that. I just think he did a poor job in bringing in the younger players until really it was kind of late. I mean, even the young man from France that they brought in, I'm like, well, what the heck? You just found this guy?
I want to make a point, and Tyrone, you tell me if you agree or not, right? So I know that the pros are slightly different because if they're paying you a lot of money, they're going to play you, right? But playing time is earned in practice. And I understand what you're saying about they should play and the developmental league and all of that, but the G League is not the NBA. There's a difference in play. Yes, it does prepare the guys, but some guys just come and they're just not ready. And these coaches are the ones that are seeing them and working with them. And so that's why I stand firm in what I'm saying. And yes, I agree, because even when I went into college my freshman year, I knew I was going to play, and I knew I was better than some seniors. And I also knew I worked harder than some seniors. So I agree with you in the sense that just because you're a rookie or a young player doesn't mean that you can't play. It's all in that player's mindset and their work ethic, and if they're actually proving it with their numbers, because the numbers don't lie. So I really find it hard to believe that these young players are just playing so great in practice and they're just really dominating in practice and scoring and making stops on defense, and they're not seeing the court. I just find that hard to believe, because Coach Nate knows that the only way that he can keep his job is to win. So you're going to play the best players. So with me knowing that, I'm really just thinking that they're not producing the way that they should in practice. And that's why I again say playing time is earned in practice.
I agree with you 1,000%, Tree. I even use myself as an example. I was more talented than the corners that Carolina had on the team. But you know why they played and I didn't? Or should I say I started the fourth game of the season. And if I was that talented, how come I didn't start the first game of the season? Well, like you alluded to, Tree, it wasn't that they were more talented than me. It was that I didn't grasp the playbook like they did. And it's about chemistry. It's about chemistry. You can lose more games with talented players on the court or on the field that don't know what they're doing, just like you can lose with or you can win with talented guys, if that makes sense. You can win when talented guys understand what they're doing, but you also can lose with talented guys who don't know what they're doing. So at the end of the day, like Tree is saying, it's about chemistry. And like I said, I got there. I'm an example, a true example. I was more talented than the people they had at corner, but they did not start me until I understood that playbook. So I understand what you're saying, Jonathan, but I decide with Tree on this one here. I think it's a lot more than just being talented. I think somewhere or another, somebody don't know what they're doing once they get on the court effectively.
Yeah.
Well, something's going on, because there's another man from the G League, which we know it's different than the NBA, but he went to a team where somehow or another, maybe he grasped the playbook quicker, maybe he was more confident when he got on the court. I'm not sure. But you guys are familiar with some fellow over in Golden State by the name of Jordan Poole. He came from the G League.
I do, because you know where he went to college, Michigan. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what the same thing too? I use football as example, not because I'm talking about football and basketball. I'm looking at the principle. There are some guys that started who came out in the same draft I did, corners, and they started the first game of the season. Mm-hmm. And I know for me, I didn't start because I didn't grasp the playbook. So it's still at the end of the day, I don't think it's just talent. Everybody got talent. I think it's more to it. I think it's a chemistry thing. I think it's an understanding of what your role is. And, some guys probably, to each his own. Some guys probably don't grasp as quickly as others. But like you said, Jonathan, he did come on at the end. Maybe that's when Coach Nate said, okay, now I think you know what you need to know. So let's put you out there and see what you can do now.
Yeah. And I really think the big thing, I think that those younger guys are working more at scoring than playing defense. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know that to be true. I haven't heard that that's true, but that's just my personal opinion, because I know a lot of times NBA players will say when they're talking to the younger guys that the younger guys, that's all they're focused on is scoring, scoring, scoring. That's what most people focus on. You need those players who focus on defense, but they can also be great scorers. And that's the different mindset with a lot of young players and veterans.
All I know is it just seemed like the Hawks had plenty of talent on that bench. And I'm thinking if the starters are talking about, well, we ain't interested in the regular season, put the other guys in. 'Cause I guarantee you, them young rooks, they're interested in the regular season. So I'm just saying, I would have preferred to see a little bit more fire and a few more mistakes versus, all of a sudden at the end of the season, we got veteran players talking about, oh, we wish we played harder. So that just to me is another reason why I let the young guys play. Because after all, in the world of AI, man, we talking about practice, man. We talking about practice, man. We talking about practice. Well, I'm gonna leave it like that. Let me not start no trouble because I know y'all gonna get me this second. All right. Well, listen, guys, don't go anywhere. We're gonna shift the focus to football. You're watching the Real Talk Sports Show, listening to the Real Talk Sports Show, everywhere we can be, and we'll be back in just a moment. I gotta tell you, don't go nowhere. Just hang tight.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our #1 priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
All right, guys, you see up there, the second half of our broadcast here. We're going to shift as we do football, and news coming out of the NFL. Aaron Donald.
We missed what the NBA Finals.
Oh, okay, hang on a second. Let's get back here. I'm so sorry. We hit it, and then we skipped it. All right, let's hit that real quick because we have to keep on with football because a lot of people kind of hit us around 8:40 expecting football, and they say, what the – talking basketball still? All right. So NBA Finals, Celtics against the Warriors. Who do you like? Ms. Tree, we're going to go to you first. Who's your pick? Celtics or Warriors, and how many games?
I have said a long time ago, and I'm sticking with it. I picked the Golden State Warriors to win in 6.
Mr. Tyrone Poole, who you got?
Yeah, I think the Boston Celtics do play good defense. I think they do have some scores, but I just think you think about the Golden State Warriors. You got Steph Curry. Who else you have over there? You have Jordan Poole. You got Klay Thompson. And then you got Andrew Wiggins. You got, I got to give the edge towards the Warriors. So I think the Warriors end up pulling it out, but I think it's going to be a good series.
Who you got, Jonathan?
I'm going with the Warriors for the reasons you guys just mentioned. I think also they're playing for legacy. They know another title win in this short period of time puts them in that short conversation of some of the great NBA teams of all time, including the Bulls. So, yeah, I'm thinking the Warriors are going to pull it out, but the Celtics are going to give them all they can handle and then some. I'm thinking 6, possibly even 7 games. Because the Celtics, this Celtic team remind me of the old Celtics teams in terms they got that grit. Even when the big 3 came with Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and those guys, they had a lot of that New England, Northeastern kind of grinded out, that defense, that borderline roughhouse play from time to time. So, yeah, I think that the Warriors are going to win overall because, again, they're playing for legacy. And believe it or not, man, I couldn't believe this. That Steph, he's 33 already. I read somewhere he's turned 33, about to turn 34 next year. So, yeah, these guys know that window's starting to close. Klay Thompson coming back after his horrific injury. So I look for the Warriors to take it and stamp their ticket as being considered one of the great all-time NBA teams.
And they have the dream team. That's a dream roster. I mean, look at their roster. I mean, wow.
And let's give Steve Kerr a shout out too, because I'm like,
yes, sir.
He's kind of like the Bill to me. Again, I've only seen one coach like this, but Steve Kerr is like the Bill Belichick of the NBA. I'm like, he continues to keep certain players in the system, and they just continue to win, man. So, give shouts out to Steve Kerr for continuing to put great teams together.
Yes. I am a big fan of Steve Kerr. I love watching him coach. I used to love watching him play. I definitely think that he's doing a phenomenal job with the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean the proof is in the pudding. I mean he's put together a team, and he's continued. Basically, I mean they had started it a little bit under Mark Jackson, and then he just galvanized it with being able to put together a system to win, and being like Phil Jackson, the guy that he played under, being able to take big time stars. As you remember, they had KD on the team at one point, along with the Splash Brothers, along with Draymond Green, the most mouth in the NBA. So he had a lot of egos, a lot of stuff going on. But he learned from Phil Jackson how to take all of those moving parts and make them into a champion. And then, once KD left, to reboot and bring them back there again. So I think all those guys are got that legacy in the back of their mind that if in fact we can win this, I think what would that be, their fourth championship in 7 years? I think, do I have that right?
I believe so.
Right. So again, that puts you in rarefied air. That puts you amongst the all-time greats, like the Bulls, like the Lakers in the '80s. Like the Celtics from back in the '60s. Teams that, or even if you look over a longer period of time, even San Antonio, who won 5, I guess, over a course of 15 years. I mean, that type of dominant. Once you win over, 2 or 3 championships in a decade, I mean, you're a dominant team. And I think certainly if they win, they'll be in that conversation. They'll win, and even if they don't, the fact that they've been in the finals 7 times, just puts them in. 6 times, puts them in some rarefied air. So, yeah, I just think they're going to pull it off. I think they have the team that can do it. Draymond, Splash Brothers, Mitchell Wiggins playing basically the way everybody thought he was going to play when he was a lottery pick. Coming to his own, and importantly, Jordan Poole really coming out of nowhere. Team has everything you need, a lot of depth. And here's the other thing that people don't really talk about. Both of you guys mentioned it about defense. The Warriors have a top 5 defense in the NBA, and nobody really talks about that.
Hello.
So this is a team
defense wins championships.
So this is a team that really is well-rounded. You call the dream team. They're pretty darn good, and they're very, very balanced. So, yeah, I picked the Warriors to win, but I think the Celtics are going to give them, again, all they can handle and more, because the Celtics team is very, very gritty. All right, let's shift over to the NFL. As I mentioned, there's some news coming from the Rams and Aaron Donald. The Rams, obviously, once you come off the Super Bowl, you have a lot of moving parts with players expecting to get paid. You got contracts up. They got Cooper Kupp, who's looking to potentially get an extension. Now, he's come out and said, look, man, I'm not trying to create any problems. He said the Rams and I are kind of having some discussion about extension. This guy, of course, just comes off of winning the Triple Crown in terms of being a player that has won most receptions, most yards, and most touchdowns this season. You're in unique company when you do something like that. But Aaron Donald, a guy who's a 3 or 4-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, he said, hey, if the Rams don't give me an extension, I'm going to retire. And he says, not anything to do when I'm mad. He said, but I said a few years ago, I only wanted to play about 8 years or so, and this was his 8th year just passed. Do you think Donald is waiving the retirement to say, pay me or I'm gone? Or is he legitimately looking to maybe bow out if he can't get the money in a nice way? Tyrone, we'll slide to you first. What do you think?
I think, honestly, I'm going to piggyback off of what I heard someone say today when they were talking about Aaron Donald. He's all of that in a bag of chips, as they say. If I'm going to pick whether I take Cooper Kupp or Aaron Donald, I'm taking Aaron Donald every day and even on Sunday, because I'm like, at the end of the day, nothing against Cooper Kupp, but I feel like in today's football, you can put anybody in the slot and they can run routes and get open. Okay, just catch the ball. The quarterback is the main thing. You got to have a good quarterback, but you can have any receiver that can catch the ball. And this is nothing against Cooper Kupp, but it takes a real doggone beast to be able to do what Aaron Donald does. And that comes once in a lifetime. I'm like, this dude can take the pressure off your linebackers, off of your secondary, and make you just come up with a scheme on defense that will win you championships. So what the person said today is what they wish that Aaron Donald would stop saying, or should not have said, that he's at peace. Even if he don't play or don't get a contract, he's at peace. He played for 8 years. Okay, so if a team wants to use something against you, not to pay you, that's what they're going to use against you. Okay. We don't know if he's really, if we sign him to this long-term deal, he may pull out at any time based off what he said. So again, I believe he loves the game. But sometimes I think we say things trying to make people feel like, okay, hey, I can take it or leave it. All right. Just go ask Colin Kaepernick. Okay. He tried to get back into the game or do anything to get back into the game. So I think Aaron Donald played this game from youth all the way up to now. I think as long as he can still wake up and put those pads on, I think he wants to put those pads on, but don't say things that can shoot you in the foot and take money off the table for you.
We say, Tyrone, don't say, I don't want you. So, okay, well, peace and love. We're out. Tree, what do you think? Aaron Donald will be back, or is he legitimately thinking, I'm gone?
I agree with Tyrone in the sense that, hey, the defense. I've said over and over again, defense wins championships, and just what he does on the field, it can't be mimicked. He is definitely a one-of-a-kind player, and he makes a huge difference when he's on the field. So pay him, because I think that he is somebody who will have a more larger impact of the game than Cooper Kupp. But I think that if he is saying that he may want to retire, that may be part of what's going through his mind. I think, though, that if he retires right now, I think he'll regret it. You know what they say, a lot of people think that the grass is greener on the other side. That happens for a lot of athletes as well. And when they're out there, especially when you've been playing the game for so long, you think, okay, I want to retire and I want to live life regular and spend time with my family. And then once you start going through that transition, then you realize, I really miss football and I actually can still play this game. So let me get back out here. What you see is why so many people retire and then come out of retirement. But I think that if he can still play the game, he definitely should play. It's a blessing to be able to do what he does at such a high level and to be looked at as one of the best by far. And so I think he should definitely keep playing if he has the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I agree.
And plus, he's out in L.A., baby. He can put the shades on and chill in the sunshine with all the stars. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I'm not sure how he's going to do it. I mean, his whole thing is that he wants the extension so he can get more guaranteed money. Certainly, that makes good sense. But like he said, I mean, I guess the guy was just trying to be honest. Is they look at the end of the day, man, 8 years was kind of what my target was. I'd love to play more, but he's letting the Rams know I'm not going to play unless I get that money. I mean, so we'll see what happens from there. Speaking of get that money, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have just made a signing of a key defensive lineman. So does that mean that that's all for another great lineman in the NFL, Ndamukong Suh? And if so, should the Falcons pursue Ndamukong Suh and get him over here? Tree Dolman, we'll go right back to you. What do you think? Ndamukong Suh?
I mean, this is a tough question for me because everybody knows that he used to play with my Detroit Lions. And when he was on my Detroit Lions, we were the number 2 defense in the NFL, which a lot of people forget about. So do your research and look it up. So he is a great defensive player. I personally lost my gratitude with him when he left and went to Miami because he wanted to be paid more. I felt appalled that he would leave my Lions for more money, but I get it. Hey, I probably would have done the same thing, right? Probably. But I think that if the Atlanta Falcons can bring him in, oh my goodness, what a huge difference he will make on the team. I think that he will bring what a lot of the defense players need here. He will bring that attitude. I think that what he has will rub off onto them. And I do think that if they bring him in here, that you will see a difference with the Atlanta Falcons defense. I think that he will be a big key piece to turn that defense around. Of course, he needs help, but I think that he would be the key piece.
Yeah, Tyrone, I said when we were talking about Aaron Donald, he said down playing games to get more money. He ain't retiring. He's buddies with T.O. and Julio. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the guy wants his check. I'm not mad at him for that at all. Well, yeah, I mean, y'all already know. Can you imagine a defensive front, okay, with Ndamukong Suh and Grady Jarrett?
I say this, again, it's all about the person's passion, man, the person's passion. And I'm like, if Ndamukong Suh still has that passion, then yes, he'll be a great pickup for any team. But you look at the last 10 years, and this is what I look at as well. The guy has not missed not one game in the last 10 years. He
Can
played
you say that one more time, Tyrone?
about him not missing a game.
That's huge. In 10 years?
Exactly, in 10 years. So what I'm getting to is that shows his ability to play lengthwise, but underlining is how many like little soreness, the pains that he may have to the point now he may feel like, man, for the last 10 years, I played every game. I'm gonna take me a couple games off now, man. I'm like, shoot, I don't got older. I don't got that what they call that career-ending money now. So, do I really love the game? But at the end of the day, it's nothing against Dominique Sue. But again, you just gotta look at the fact the last 10 years, I'm like, the guy has not missed a game. I'm like, he has not missed a game. You actually have to go back to 2011 when he missed 2 games. 2011. From the time he came into the league in 2010 with the Detroit Lions, he played all 16 games as a rookie, and then he missed 2 games the second year in 2011. And after that, he's been a solid starter for over 10 plus years. So at what point does mentally he say, man, I'm a little bit sore, man. Let me take me a game off real quick, But again, I don't think that's his mentality. But if I'm a GM, I'm like, he does seem to have a lot of tread on his tires. So does he still have a passion to be able to put 17 more games in for 2-3 more years or whatever if the Falcons were to sign him? So, or would it be a 1-year deal and just see how committed are you?
Yeah. I think that him not missing games is a great thing. And I don't know. If I was a GM, of course, I've never played football for the NFL just for fun, right? But I would think it's a great thing. And then I look at my beloved hubby who played for 15 years. And I think in his career, I think he only missed 2 or 3 games maximum. So he definitely kept going out dominating. And then I think there's some other players that have played for many years that didn't miss that many games either. And so I think that, like you said, Tyrone, I think it's the mindset of the player. And he just seems like the type that he wants to go down as one of the greatest. And I think that that's his motivation. So I can't see him just missing games just because. He seems like the type that's going to go hard and go give all that he has while he's playing. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, let me rephrase that. Put it in another, like in the courtroom. Let me rephrase that question. When you played as many games as he's played without missing a game, you're talking about now a player, especially playing in the trenches. They get beat up. I'm like, it's a lot of contact going on. Okay, a lot of just blocks, cuts, whatever the case may be. So do you think he may come in and say, hey, hold on. I'm used to not practicing certain times of the week now. I'm like, I've been playing for a long time. Now you got a young team that's trying to rebuild. So if he come in with a veteran mentality, it's like as a head coach, you got to ask yourself, do you want that? You want this guy coming in when you try to get these other young guys to buy in that you got to be at practice every day. Now I understand that there are certain rules for certain people, but at the end of the day, that's why I say it's all about Dominique Sue's mentality. If he were to come to Atlanta, okay, they're in the rebuilding stage. Will he put forth the effort to be out there to show these guys, okay, this is how you do it? Or do you have to have special attention, knowing that, hey, if we hold off on the wear and tear doing practice, that he'll give us that game. But at the same time, we're trying to teach these young guys that you got to put it in every day. So again, I think it's all about how Coach Smith and Fontenay, how they go about, if Dominique Sue is somebody they're pursuing, how they go about handling him as far as his longevity and the number of plays that he's had over the game. Because I'm telling you, I played with a guy, Shannon Sharp. Now, Shannon had already done his things at Denver, and Mike Shanahan knew who Shannon was. But Shannon did not practice all the time. But we would go out there. And I'm telling you, sometimes guys do get jealous now. They're like, hold on, man, it's hot out here. How come you ain't out here?
Yeah.
So, that could play a role now. So you got to take all that stuff into account.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tyrone. That's definitely a great point, actually.
Yeah, that could be one of the reasons why Julio was shown the door, Could be. So Todd says, why would Sue want to come here other than a paycheck? Yeah, I mean, and Sue has actually said it. It's interesting. He's actually said, much to Tree's anger, that I'm about that money. I'm about the
I wouldn't
money.
say anger, just a little
Well, not angry, I
disapproval.
mean, just a little perturbed. Let's put it that way. So, yes, I mean, it's like, hey, he says he's out for the money. And I guess being a professional player, that's it. And Tyrone, as you said, playing them trenches, that's for grown people. Yeah, you getting hit every single play and playing the nose guard, especially, or inside tackle. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. So, and last but not least, what I think the big problem is, I don't think the Falcons have the money, to pay
Mm,
him what it would need to pay him to get him here. I mean, now next year,
that's a
no
good point.
doubt, if this was next year, with the amount of salary cap space they have, which I think is going to be over 100 million, they could do it no problem. But as much as it would be just awesome to see him and Grady just being clogged in that middle, yeah, probably not going to happen with the
You
Falcons.
know,
They have to make do with what they got.
but you know what, Jonathan? I'd rather see the Falcons keep Grady and just have one dominant guy, just like the Rams. I'm just gonna go back and visit the Rams, okay? Because they actually did it and we saw the effects of it. I would rather for them to have just Grady, Jarrett be the big guy, and then they bring a dominant edge rusher, man. And I'm like, put them jokers together on the same side and just play chess with the offense. I'm like, versus having two big guys, because you can have two big guys in the center and we'll run outside of them. And sometimes guys beat themselves. And when I say beat themselves, like Aaron Donald, you can actually defeat Aaron Donald by using his strengths against him. If he gets off the ball fast, you know what? Let him get off the ball fast and then push him up the field, and then run. Let his ability to rush be used against him. So again, I would rather see the Falcons use Jared and then have a Garrett and use another speed guy, Grady Jarrett, and you have a speed guy on the outside that they can pair up. And I think that's a great defensive line, especially in this day and age of football. If I can get all that out.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the biggest point is going to be: do the Falcons this year have the kind of person that can do that? Because it seems like the guys they drafted have a lot of speed. But I think you mentioned last week, Tyrone, they really in the linebacker court don't have necessarily a lot of weight. Now, the young man from Penn State, I'm going to pronounce his name incorrect, but and the 3 day, he comes in, I think, around 6'2", around 250, 255. But the other guys they drafted come off the edge, they're around 240-ish. So the question is, will they have that speed and will they be able to develop another move that can allow them to get enough pressure? And for me, I don't even need to see these guys necessarily, go crazy. If I could get at least 6 or 7 sacks from each one of those edge rushers, I think that would be a huge, ginormous difference for the Falcons. But if you can get a guy that can get you close to maybe 8 sacks off that edge, that means they're going to have to spend more time single blocking Grady. And I think if that's the case, Grady himself is good for 4 or 5 sacks, as well as being a huge disruptor on the run game as well. So I'm looking for just to see, man, do they have the kind of guys that can really fit in this Dean P system with these guys they drafted? The kid from Penn State. Go ahead.
Just give me the quarterback pressure. The sack is golden, but you know what? Just give me the quarterback pressure, because that right there makes that'll make them quarterbacks get rid of that ball faster. Because at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want that quarterback to get off rhythm. So even if you don't get that sacking, just put pressure on him. So yeah, like you said, if these guys can use their speed and put pressure on that quarterback, make him get out of his rhythm, then that helps the linebackers, the secondary. You can sit back and play zone. You ain't got to put your corners in man-to-man situations all the time. Just why, like you said, with Dean Pease, I think D. Led was asking him, about certain coverages. And, Dean Pease probably understood. I don't have I got guys back there that can cover, but I don't have nobody that can put pressure on the quarterback. The quarterback can be back there throwing the ball all day. And you can only cover guys for at least an average about 4 seconds at tops. Other than that, I'm like, it's pitch and catch.
Once again, Todd said, I've lost my mind. He said, Preacher, Todd doesn't like to sack guys. He's like to drop people in coverage and not rush. Okay, well, Todd, actually, and Tyrone, if I'm not mistaken, you left New England? Was it the year before Todd became the defensive coordinator? Is that right?
Who?
Dean Pease, were you still there, or did you leave the year before you came there
No,
to
no,
New England?
I left before he got there, but
That's what I thought. Right,
he
right,
was on
right.
the staff. He was on the staff. But let me
That's
say this
right.
with Todd again. Todd has to understand that you can't blitz. When you blitz, there are two types of blitzes that you have. You have a zone blitz, what they call a zone blitz, where you blitz and then you drop back in zone. But if you play, and that's kind of like a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers. So with a zone blitz, all you have to do is look at which side the safety is coming down to. Sometimes they'll try to fool you and drop a defensive lineman back to a particular spot. Or you got zone, you got blitzing where it's man to man. Okay, so to play zone blitz, you got to be able to have guys that can cover multiple spots on that field. Okay, they got to be like a seam flat player. That means you got to carry the seam, but also be able to have the knowledge and the quickness and the speed to cover the flats. Okay, so maybe he felt like he didn't have that type of guy. Okay, so you can't play zone blitz in the way he probably want to play it. And then when you go man blitz, okay, you don't have any horses up front getting to the quarterback. Now you're leaving your secondary vulnerable for big plays. So now you got to drop back and play a lot of zone and just hope that somebody can maneuver and get to the quarterback. And you try to run a lot of games up front. So, Dean Pease, I don't think he's in the league for just being Dean Pease. I think the guy kind of knows what he's doing. I don't think nobody hires nobody. I know the fans don't like it, but at the end of the day, just like Kenny Rogers say, hey, you got to play the cards that you got. You got to know when to fold them, when to hold them, and when to walk away. So I think that's what he was doing during the season. I just got to pick and choose.
Let me get it. Let me get. Don't. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. There we go. Little Kenny right there, man. Just passed away a couple years ago.
Your money.
Sitting at the table.
Oh.
Time for counting money when the day is done. Hot dog. Hey, y'all that know the preacher had a little country western in them. Praise the Lord. Amen. But that's a question I'm really trying to ask Tyrone. So the one thing that all these guys have in common, seemingly, that they got in this linebacker corps is these guys have speed. So the question is, do you think now that he has guys that he can bring from these kind of, I don't want to say exotic, but guys are standing up, maybe faking like they're going to cover and having enough speed to still get to the quarterback and be disruptive. There's talk about changing the safety, Richie Grant, his kind of the way he sets up here on this team. They're looking to do more with him. So do you think that's what they really are looking for? That they've got guys in there that say, listen, we got guys that are big enough at 250, tall enough that we think at 6'2", but they have enough speed to close if we need to bring them on a delayed blitz and actually be a play disruptor, or to be able even to do a run blitz and be a play disruptor?
Well, again, understanding what Dean Pease likes to run, he comes from the 3-4 system, but I'm pretty sure he understands the 4-3 as well. And if anybody knows the 3-4 system, basically you got to have that wild card. You got to have that wild card guy, that guy that can put his hands in the dirt if you want to go 4-3, or that guy that can drop back in coverage. The guy that I think about, perfect example, James Harris with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm like, James Harris, I'm like, the dude could drop back in coverage. I'm like, he could put his hands in the ground. That's that wild card guy right there. And, he just wreaks havoc. And I think that's what Dean Pease wants. We had that in New England. Willie McGinnis, he was that guy. He was fast enough that you can drop him back in coverage or you can rush him. But you got to have that wild card. And sometimes these coaches do go off of their past history and they try to mimic what they did in the past, but they may not have the personnel in the present.
Let's go here. Todd is saying kind of the same thing. He's saying, hey, Tyrone, you play the game. You know what I'm talking about. So Pease, I think, needs to be on the field talking to guys instead of being up in the box. He's 77, so he may need to be a bathroom. Hey, Todd, listen, man, I'm going to tell you something. I'm getting to be an OG myself, and I will tell you that, he's all right. He ain't got to make that many bathroom stops, bro. He good. Yeah, he good. But I do think that the young man they drafted at Penn State, that's the guy they want to be that guy. I really do because he's got the physical side. He's about 6'2", 6'3". He's not 230. He's I think 250 or 255. The other guy I think they're looking to be a wild card is to maybe bring him and use him as a kind of oh man kind of a half safety, half linebacker is the kid that came out of Montana. Now, people say, dude, what are you talking about? A guy that played quarterback, he played running back, he played linebacker. That's my point. Here's a guy that basically was a play caller, was a running back, so he kind of knows and has a feel for how an offense flows. And the guy's got blazing speed. And he's around 245, 250. So could these two guys really be the linchpin on this Falcons team being a defense that can at least get to the middle of the pack? And we're going to close up with that. Tyrone,
I
what do you
think
think?
it's gonna be great. That's gonna be great because these two guys gonna push each other. They're gonna push each other. So actually, this is a win-win for the Falcons. They're gonna push each other, and they're gonna get one of those guys gonna end up being a dominant player. But I want to say this about what Todd said about Dean Pease being on the field. I want to use another guy, Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio, he is always up in the booth, and sometimes you can see a whole lot when you are above field. I'm like, when we look at film, to give an example, which the fans really never see, we get the coaches version. Most of the time, the fans just see the field level version. You just may see wherever the camera's point. Okay, but we get to see the whole field, so we get to see everything. So I think it's an advantage when you have someone who's calling the shots, who can see from a high vantage point. Okay, it's like a rifleman, so to speak. The higher the elevation, the more you can see things. And let's not forget, Big Fangio, when he's with the Bears, I'm like, they had a real stellar defense. They ran the same type of 3-4 defense, so to speak.
You know that I mean that's why that's why coordinators are in the box. I mean, yeah, that's what they do. They do it in college, they do it in pros. That's why those guys are up there because they can see the play develop. I mean, even I tell you, even when I go and cover the game, I enjoy more being on the field because I mean, just the action, the sounds, being that close to players, you can hear some of the play calls, you hear some of the conversation. But as far as being able to look at the game, like that's why you can't call a game from the field level because you can't see the play unfold. I mean, I couldn't call a play-by-play down the field because you can't see half the stuff. But from the press box, Tyrone, you see the whole thing unfold. Let's get one last question here from social media. Of course, it's our man Todd. He says, "But Tyrone, Bill always would go over there and talk to you on that chalkboard. He thinks we need that." Well,
But Bill's not calling the plays though.
right.
Bill sits in the meetings during the week. That's why you got a defensive coordinator. Okay, the defensive coordinator is gonna call the plays. But still, yet, even though some defensive coordinators may be on the field, the real person that tells that defensive coordinator what to do is that person sitting up in that box. I'm like, they're on. If you look at any game and you just pay attention to the defensive coordinator, he's always talking. He's always talking. His mouth is always moving. He's talking to an assistant upstairs who's telling him, "Hey, you know what? The left end is not getting across the ball, so we may need to come up with another defensive call." Okay, because they've already gone over the game plan over what this offense is going to do and how they're going to combat it. But when you're sitting at a high advantage, you're able to see who's lacking, how they're pulling, and you can make your game changes, I think, more effectively. But no defense coordinator who's on the field, you can't sit and tell me that they are not relying on that person who's sitting up in the booth. And that's their job, is to see the overall thing. Now, some players, like you said, you alluded to, Jonathan, some of these coaches, they like to be on the field because they like to get the intensity of the game and all that. But I think generals sit upstairs so they can see everything and they can send a signal downstairs to those who are sending it out. So that's just me. If I was a defense coordinator, I'd rather be upstairs in the booth so I can see everything. I can see who's slacking, how they're beating us, how they're pulling, and just where the opening was on that particular defense. So if I see that formation again, I'm coming with a different call. You can't see that stuff when you're on the field.
Well, we're certainly going to find out what's going on with these guys, man. I do think, like I said again, the Falcons have something that every team wants and every team needs is speed. That's one thing all these guys had in common. They drafted guys that have a lot of speed. The other thing, which is pretty interesting, is how they continue to build this team around the concept of three things: character, chip on the shoulder, and actually what our former coach talked about, Coach Dan, I can't even think of it now. I'm drawing a blank.
Quinn.
Dan Quinn, he always liked guys that were versatile, and that's something that you see here with these guys are picking up. Even the young men they picked up late, I think it was a sixth round draft choice that played quarterback, but they got him in to basically play a kickoff returns and occasionally on special teams. So it looks like that's what we're looking for. They're looking for guys that have a lot of character, high character guys, guys that can really create, as you guys talked about last week. I think Tyrone mentioned also that locker room culture. And then also they want guys that have that nasty chip on their shoulder. Like, look here, man, I should have been a second round pick and I was drafted in the fifth round. I should have been a first round pick. I was drafted in the third round. And also, again, that flexibility, that kind of Swiss Army knife, being able to play a lot of different positions. So we're going to see if that works out. I think that's why, again, I know I'm sounding crazy with that 10-7, but hey, listen, I mean, Dan Quinn came in here. Falcons were 500 his first year. Next thing you know, they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying anything like that, but he was 7-10 last year. I know on paper they had a weaker schedule, but Tyrone, you know how it works. I mean, you don't play no paper. You play the team. So in these teams, injuries can happen. Anything can happen.
I don't see no 10 wins, Jonathan. I'm pretty sure True gonna back me up on this, and even Todd will back me up on this. Todd gonna back me up on this one here. The Falcons not gonna get no 10 wins, man. I'm like, because again, if the Saints can turn it around and Jameis Winston can play half of what they're used to at quarterback with Breeze, I think the Saints are going to be tough. So they got to play the Saints twice, and then they got to play the Bucs twice. And if Carolina can get any type of quarterback, I think they have a pretty good offense. So again, it all depends on what I think Carolina does. That determines whether or not the Falcons will even how many games they will even win in the South. Because if Carolina gets a quarterback, say if they get Garoppolo, then I think right there, the Falcons may go 0-2 against Carolina. They may go 0-2 against the Bucs and 0-2 against the Saints, but they may not win no conference games. I don't know, or should I say divisional games, but I don't see 10 wins.
I definitely don't see 10 wins. I think that you are not just stretching, you're not just reaching. I think that that's like what was that go gadget? You go gadgeting. I mean, you really out there with the 10 wins. No.
Jonathan, he's stretching the rubber band, but man, you making it stretch too far, man.
Yeah.
The rubber band.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's okay. I don't care. I'm gonna leave a good last comment from Todd. This is what Todd said. He said, "Hey," he says out, but he wanted to say the Queen looks amazing.
Thank you, Todd.
We already know that, dude. You late. We already gave her kudos, man. You come on late at the end of the broadcast. We already showed some love, bro. So you late. But anyway, speaking of some love, we know like we like to do each and every time we're on the air. We want to make sure to show plenty of love to our co-hosts and our guests, let people know how they can find out more about them. So it's Tyrone Bull. You know how we do it. The floor is yours.
Hey, Tyrone Poole 38, all social media. It's been a pleasure, honor. Everybody have a great night, morning, wherever you are. Just be safe.
Better late than never. Tyrone Poole 38. There it is. At Tyrone Poole 38. Mr. Poole, God bless you, sir.
All right. Good night, Queen.
Bye, Tyrone. Good night.
All right.
Speaking of the Queen, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. First, I want to show my shirt. I know everybody's looking, but I want everybody to see my shirt. Yay! So these are the shirts for the virtual 5K that we had this past couple of weeks for the month. And again, May is Brain Cancer Awareness Month. So if anybody wants to go and make a donation, today is the last day to do it for the virtual 5K. Of course, with Go Gray for a Cure, you can make donations throughout the year. But if you would like to do that, you can go to runsignup.com/Go Gray for a Cure 5K. And you can make a donation until midnight tonight on there. And you can find me on all social media at Go Gray for a Cure, at It's Latresa, as well as Ms. America International 2021. And again, May is Brain Cancer Awareness Month. And I am an advocate for brain cancer awareness. Everything that I do is for my beloved hubby, Chris Dolman, who passed away from brain cancer. So to my hubby in heaven, I love you, baby. This is all for you. And thank you to everybody who has supported.
And there you go, guys. You can see the link passing right underneath her name right there. Please, you still got 3 hours left to go. Sign up right there. We'll show it one more time before we go off. There it is right there. Please sign up. Please, ma'am. Please, sir, do it. And what I'm going to do is one last thing. We'll go ahead and take it off the ticker. And then what we'll do is we'll put it up on social media so people can just actually click on the link. So you guys just don't worry about it. Put the link up on social media. I'll do that right now. There it is. You see it right there. You can go ahead and click on that link and go ahead and join us. And again, listen, if you don't run, doesn't matter. Just go ahead and send the money. It goes for a good cause. So, Ms. Tree Dolman, as always, we appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. All right, guys, it's me, the Minister Jonathan Simmons here, and as you can see, I do a lot of stuff. Here's my official Allen Vigil Forward shirt. I have my little apron on. I'll do some little cooking as well. But the main thing is I'm a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I always like to ask you the simple question, do you know God? You say you don't. Well, it's real easy. You can have a relationship with God by having a relationship with his son, Jesus Christ. And here's how this works. You have to repent of your sin, believe that Jesus came here, walked upon the earth, a completely sinless man, and then died a horrific death on the cross, but rose from the dead. And when he rose, he had a wonderful thing in his hand, the gift of salvation. And he has it there waiting for you when you believe. And this is what happens. Number one, you become an adopted child of God. And number two, you become a full-blown citizen of the kingdom of heaven. What that means to you is this. You now can go to God as your father. That's right, the maker of heaven and earth. Now you can go to him as your father. You can ask him anything that you need or desire, and he'll grant it to you according to his will. And then the end game is spectacular. When you die, you get to that place called heaven, where there's none of the following: no pain, no pandemic, no bad people. You're never dying, never crying. It's sunny all the time. Why? Because the glory of God illuminates the whole kingdom. Every single building adorned with the most beautiful jewels you can think of. So if you talk about bling, nothing like it in heaven. Diamond encrusted, emerald encrusted, ruby encrusted. The streets paved with a gold so pure it's translucent. And you get to see all those wonderful people, like Jesus Christ, of course, most important. But you get a chance to see Moses and all those great people you read in the Bible, and all of your loved ones who brought you to the Lord that went on before you. Those favorite aunties, grandmama and them, they're all going to be there. And you avoid that unhappy place called heaven. Called hell, where there's no pain, where there is pain. There's terrible people there. It's bad. It's smelly. It stinks. It's painful. And most of all, you're cut off from God, Jesus Christ, and all your loved ones forever and a day. I don't know about you, but like option number one instead of option number two. All right, guys, we hope you join us again next week. If you want to find out more about me and follow the show, here it is right here. Boom. We're at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. That's how you can follow the show. At Mr. J Sims, you can follow me there. If you want to contact me or the show, if you got like a great sports story, somebody compelling we want to talk about, just somebody doing good in the sports community, let us know. Send me an email, jsimmons@realtalksports.net, or simply call me on the cell, 678-410-9833. You can hit me there. And no, I don't want to invest in crypto with you. I'm tired of all these people calling me up, talking about cryptocurrency. I got folks for that. I don't need you. Okay? Please don't call me. And don't call me to catfish me neither. I can make my own dates. I'm just saying. All right. On that note, everybody, until the next time, God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day. So long now. Bye-bye.